Today is an exciting day. I am at the entrance kiosk of the Transcontinental Backroad Byway. If you love trains, if you love railroad history, in 1869, it was happening right here. And I'm going to drive it today, all 90 miles, all the way to the Lucin cutoff and to the historic town of Lucin. And I'm going to bring you with me so that you'll get to see what's going on out here. What made me want to come out here was I saw the AMC TV show, or the TV series, Hell on Wheels. I'm not endorsed by them, I'm not sponsored by them in any way, but if you really like railroad history, especially transcontinental railroad history, watch Hell on Wheels, because it's a fantastic show and it really gives you an idea of the hardships that the people faced that built the Transcontinental Railroad, what the towns were like, those Hell on Wheels towns, and also what the towns consisted of. They had saloons and churches and stores and saloon, of course, and brothel, of course. But they were quite lawless and they were quite dangerous. But today, just think about what went into the construction of this railroad. In 1869, they didn't have sophisticated equipment. They just basically had wheelbarrows and shovels. And it was a monumental task. And we also want to remember the people that died and gave their lives for the completion of this railroad. So come along with me and let's see what's going on. I've got a detailed map. We're going to stop in every town and we're going to have a look at exactly what's going on there. There's a lot of historical debris. There's not really much standing, but we're going to take it all in and we're going to be a part of history. No sooner were America's first railroads operating in the 1830s than people of vision foresaw transcontinental travel by rail. The idea gained support as a national railroad system took shape. By the beginning of the Civil War, America's eastern states were linked by 31,000 miles of rail, more than in all of Europe. Virtually none of this network, though, served the area beyond the Missouri River. Until the Great American Desert and the Rockies were bridged, the vast western territories would be a part of the nation in name only. You can see as you look out in the distance, there's like another railway bed out there. Now, I'm not a historian, but I did hear, and I don't know how true it is, but I heard that the railroads built like 200 miles past each other. The Central Pacific coming from the west and the Union Pacific coming from the east. And, they were into laying track because they got a big incentive from the government to do that. So I guess since nobody had agreed on a meeting spot, they just kept on building, And then originally they met there at Promontory Summit, where the Golden Spike National Historical Park is. But as you look out here, you can see there's just like vast expanses of just wilderness per se. But I'm just gonna slowly pan around here. The scenery is just beautiful. You can see the Great Salt Lake out there. And it's just a perfect day out here. It's nice and cool. It's a little windy. Was raining a little bit. A few clouds passed by, but just a beautiful day to be out here on the Transcontinental Back Road Byway. You can see behind us there a prime example of a cut. It's very hard to see my screen here. It's so bright out here. But you can see it up there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. I would encourage anyone, if you love railroad history and trains, to definitely come out here and drive the Transcontinental Back Road Byway. It's a piece of history. I'm here 156 years late, but I'm here. And it is a great experience. And if you do come out here, please be prepared. Bring water, spare tire, plenty of snacks, something to eat. Because in the event that you did get stuck out here, it could be a while before somebody would come out and get you. And the people to call would be BLM. I don't know if the National Park Service would come out, but it would definitely, most likely be BLM. All right, let's cruise on down the road a little bit.
A continent-spanning railroad would also bring more tangible benefits. It would boost trade, shorten immigrants' journeys, and help the U.S. Army control Native Americans resisting white settlement. Anticipating great financial and political rewards, Northern, Midwestern, and Southern senators made their cases for locating the eastern terminus in their regions. In California, Theodore Judah had his own plan for a transcontinental railroad. By 1862, the young engineer had surveyed a route over the Sierra Nevada and persuaded wealthy Sacramento merchants to form the Central Pacific Railroad. That year, Congress authorized the Central Pacific Railroad to build a railroad eastward from Sacramento, and in the same act, chartered the Union Pacific Railroad in New York.
I'm here at Monument on the Transcontinental Back Road Byway, and I have to say that it's just beautiful out here. All of the history, thinking about the trains coming through here and all of the people that did all of the work. I mean, if you just consider the railway bed itself, all of that had to be brought out here. And I just can't fathom the logistics of all of it. Also, a few more signs would be appreciated out here. We came to the end of the first stretch of the Transcontinental Back Road Byway, and we had absolutely no way to go. So we just took a guess and we went left, and fortunately we were right. So we're glad to see Monument and know that we are on the official Transcontinental Back Road Byway. It's amazing being out here in the middle of nowhere and having so many bugs. There's some pretty eagle-sized mosquitoes out here. So you may want to bring some mosquito repellent with you if you come out here. That was something that we overlooked. So let's just have a little bit of panorama here so you can see exactly what's out here, and we'll continue on our way.
After the Civil War had removed the Southern senators from the debate over Eastern terminus location, the central route near the Mormon Trail was chosen, with Omaha as the terminus. Each railroad received loan subsidies of $16,000 to $48,000 a mile, depending upon the difficulty of the terrain, and 10 land sections for each mile of track laid. The Central Pacific broke ground in January 1863, and the Union Pacific that December, but neither made much headway while the country's attention was diverted by the Civil War. Investors could reap greater profits from the war, and the U.S. Army had first priority on labor and material. So Central Pacific's Collis Huntington and the Union Pacific's Thomas Durant, exemplars of the no-holds-barred business ethics of that period, visited Washington with enough cash to help members of Congress understand their problems.
Welcome to the town of Saco. Here on our drive on the Continental Railroad Back Road Byway. And this place is definitely the antidote for civilization. If you're looking to get away, this would be the place to come. It's just absolutely beautiful out here. You can see the railroad bed ahead, this huge very long straightaway, which was good for them. Minimal buildup, no trestles, no culverts. And looking in the opposite direction, back towards Golden Spike. So you can see just how long this straightaway is. It's quite a straightaway. There's the marker right there in the distance for Seco. And it looks like there might be a little bit of historical trash out there. I'm gonna walk out and have a look. So let's head on down the road on our adventure of the Transcontinental Back Road Byway.
A second railroad act in 1864 doubled the land subsidy, but little track was laid until labor supplies were freed at war's end. Central Pacific's crews faced the rugged Sierra Nevada almost immediately, while Union Pacific started on easier terrain. Its work parties were raided by Sioux and Cheyenne. With 8 flat cars of material needed for each mile of track, supplies were a logistical nightmare for both railroads, especially the Central Pacific, which had to ship every rail, spike, and locomotive 15,000 miles around Cape Horn.
We're continuing our journey here on the Transcontinental Back Road Byway, and this is a fine example of a small trestle that is just before the town of Kelton. So a nice example of an original wood trestle near the town of Kelton. We're continuing our journey on the historic Transcontinental Back Road Byway. And I am standing in front of the Kelton Cemetery. And just in a minute, I'll walk inside and we'll all have a closer look. One thing I would like to mention is that sometimes you're not actually on the railroad bed. You're driving beside of it. Sometimes you can see it in the distance. And then other times, to tell you the truth, we had no idea where we were. Fortunately, we had some cell service out here. We're T-Mobile customers, and we had cell service very periodically, but we were able to get on Google Earth and find out where we were in relation to where we should be. But as I mentioned earlier, the signage could be quite a bit better. I'm going to move out of the way and do a panorama so you can have a good look at exactly what there is out here. So here I am entering the historic Kelton Cemetery. I apologize if the video is a little unstable. I'm just having to handhold this and wing it. There's a marker over here. Let's go have a look. It's very difficult to read it. It does say children of OL and something else. I can't quite make out the date that they passed away. Obviously, there's some other graves here that are unmarked. It's actually amazing after 156 years that anything is out here. Looks like there's part of a broken headstone here. Looks like there's a couple of graves here from 1878. Baby Henry, maybe. Father something, 1844. Then there's 1870, another 1870, 1835. Henry Clay, the Forbes family, looks like there's a couple of markers over here that we might be able to read. Tho Whitaker, maybe. Looks like somebody has been out here, put some flowers. It's good that their relatives remember them. Here's another headstone, but there's nothing written on it. It's probably been vandalized.
Both pushed ahead faster than anyone had expected. The work teams, often headed by ex-military officers, were drilled until they could lay 2 to 5 miles of track a day on flat land. The Union Pacific drew on the vast pool of America's unemployed, Irish, German, and Italian immigrants, Civil War veterans from both sides, formerly enslaved people, and even Native Americans, 8,000 to 10,000 workers in all. It was a volatile mixture, and drunken bloodshed was common in the Hell on Wheels towns, thrown up near the base camp.
Well, we're now near the town of Zayas, if I'm saying that correctly, and we have a very nice example of a trestle here, complete with water that's running underneath it, and probably there was water here in 1869 too. So this most likely is an original trestle. And if I pan over a little bit here, you can see that just before the trestle there's lots of bricks. These bricks came out of the boilers of the locomotives, and they threw them on the side of the railroad bed to provide some stability for the bed itself. And I can tell you this, we are way out here. I'm just going to pan around so you can see. And you can see the railroad bed continuing in that direction. We're on a road that's running parallel to the railroad bed right now. Welcome to our continued journey on the Transcontinental Backroad Byway. You're looking at the Peplin Cut, and as you can see, quite a cut it is. I don't know how long it took them to work through that with primitive tools, but I'm sure it took quite a while. According to a marker that I read earlier, there was like 10,000 men working out here. But even with 10,000 men, you can see that that's quite a feat. So I'm just going to pan around, give you a perspective of where we are. We're up in the edge of the mountains here quite a bit. And it's very beautiful out here. Lots of nice scenery.
Because California's labor pool had been drained by the rush for gold, followed by the silver boom, Central Pacific hired over 10,000 Chinese, the backbone of the railroad's workforce. By mid-1868, Central Pacific crews had crossed the Sierra and laid 200 miles of track. Union Pacific had laid 700 miles over the plain. As the two workforces neared each other in Utah, they raced to grade more miles and claim more land subsidies. Both pushed so far beyond their railheads that they passed each other, and for over 200 miles, competing graders advanced in opposite directions on parallel grades.
Welcome to Terrace. It has certainly been a long drive here on the Transcontinental back road byway, but we have made it to Terrace. It is definitely a ride that feels more like hundreds of miles than 90 miles. Maybe that's because I've been stopping everywhere and filming these historic locations, but behind me is the Terrace Cemetery. We'll go in just in a minute to have a closer look, but I did want to do a 360-degree view so you can see what's out here. It's very beautiful out here, but there's absolutely nothing. It's way out here. So let's have a look around. I guess there's no way to know how many are buried here. The sign said that the cemetery has been vandalized, but I would imagine it's quite a few more people than the markers indicate. Welcome to downtown Terrace. My previous video was up at the Terrace Cemetery, which is outside of town. From what I understand, Terrace was the biggest city, but there's really nothing out here. Just some small remnants of civilization. There's some bricks, some like poles sticking up, some timbers, some rotting pieces of metal. There's some porta potties out there, which you'll see when I spin the camera around, which I'm sure we're not here in 1869, but it's certainly way out here. So let's have a look. Let's see what's going on in Terrace. Here's a nice example of a large trestle just south of Terrace. Looks like there's a couple of crows nested in there, or birds of some type.
Congress finally declared the meeting place to be Promontory Summit. On May 10, 1869, two locomotives, Central Pacific's Jupiter and Union Pacific's number 119, pulled up to the one-rail gap left in the track. After a golden spike was symbolically tapped, a final iron spike was driven to connect the railroads. Central Pacific had laid 690 miles of track and the Union Pacific 1,086. They had crossed 1,776 miles of desert, rivers, and mountains to bind together the East and West.
Welcome to historic Lucin, here on the Transcontinental Back Road Byway. It took us about 8 hours to complete this adventure. It would have probably took a lot less, but we stopped to do some filming and take some pictures and stop and have a snack and something to drink, and time to come out and set up and tear down and stuff like that. But I hope you've enjoyed riding along with us. Come on out here and have this adventure for yourself. We really enjoyed it. It's 156 years of history, and it was just fantastic. So let's take one look around, and with that, we'll say see you next time.